Greetings, people of Earth. Welcome back. My name is Jax, and you might have clicked on this video thinking, wow, that's a weird title. But it's also Halloween, and it kind of perfectly summarizes what I have been thinking about, especially today. And the title of this video is Living in a World of Ghosts, which sounds spooky and is also accurate, both philosophically and practically. So, I have been going through my phone storage and cleaning away and basically like exporting a lot of photos from 2018 and further back, if you can believe it. So it's been a long time. So I'm taking these photos off of my phone and putting them onto a hard storage device that I have. So one of the things that I realized is that a lot of people have died, and I've been to a lot of funerals in the last 5 or 6 years. I was like going through all of the photos, and I was like, oh, that person, yeah, that person died. And oh, look, there's this person. Yeah, they're dead too. And I know it seems super morbid and strange, but like I said, it's Halloween, and some of these people have passed on long ago. They had very, very lovely lives, and I was very honored to be a part of their lives. However, like, it got me thinking about this topic, living in a world of ghosts. And I've kind of always felt this, but it just keeps getting stronger as the years go on. It keeps getting more apparent that the memories I shared with these people, I'm the only one on the planet now that remembers these things, remembers these conversations, remembers spending time with them in the way that I did. Obviously, there are other people in their lives that, you know, are still around. But in the context of me knowing these people, I'm the last one around, you know, and I have some friend groups where, you know, some of us are no longer here, and talking with my friends and family about the people who've passed on, it's really weird because you can't really explain to someone who wasn't there. It's very much a case of you had to be there, and if you weren't there, you're just never going to understand what exactly was going on. Especially like 2018 and 19 happened to be when I was really in university, and I made a bunch of friends, and unfortunately a few of these friends are no longer here. So going back and looking at these photos is very surreal for me. It's very bizarre to like hear their voices, and like there's lots of videos of us doing stupid university student things, but it's weird going back and hearing their voices and sort of immediately remembering what I was thinking and what I was doing in that moment, and realizing how much I have changed. And unfortunately these people haven't changed, you know, as far as I know. They're the static image of themselves when they passed away. And so I think this is like kind of a thought-provoking idea, because in all honesty, we all live in a world filled with ghosts, you know. We might not have the privilege of having our parents still with us, or our grandparents, or, you know, aunts and uncles we care about dearly, family, friends, dogs, cats. You know, there's this huge, vast array of people that we have lost, and that coming to terms with that loss, and then realizing that you still have to carry on and you still have to live your life and do your thing. That is such a strange concept, but you can also expand it further, and you know that I love doing this. And so you can look at the things on this earth that have been created by people who are no longer here. You know, you can think of ideas, you can think of actual real world inventions. Like, the guy who invented the car is not here anymore, but his creation, although modified in an infinitely unique way, is still here. Or the refrigerator, or, you know, modern plumbing, whatever. And so in reality, like, human civilization is this continuation of the work of ghosts. And everything that we have accumulated in terms of knowledge and wealth and understanding and specialty, it has all been accumulated by this cycle. I think one of my anthropology teachers once said that one of the things that makes humans really, really special and unique is that we can write things down. We can share our ideas, and those ideas don't have to die with us. With a lot of animals, they are born or they're hatched from an egg, and they never come into contact with their parents, or they only rarely encounter other things that are the same species as them, and they kind of have to figure it out all instinctively. But humans, we can pass down knowledge much better than, say, an elephant, because an elephant will teach its young how to find water and how to move and how to organize their social structure, and same with chimpanzees. But humans, we have the capacity to learn from anyone who has written something down or made a little video or painted a picture demonstrating what you're supposed to do. So when you read Charles Dickens, you're learning from Charles Dickens, even though he is long dead, or Oscar Wilde, or any of the great writers or thinkers or philosophers, Socrates, Plato. Anytime you are listening or reading about their teachings, you are learning from them, which is a wild concept to try and wrap your head around. I remember thinking this reading Marcus Aurelius's Meditations. If you haven't read it, it's an amazing book. But it's this Roman emperor from 2,000 years ago who just wrote down his daily meditations, what he was thinking about and how he tried to structure his life and things like that. And I don't think he ever dreamed that his diary would be a best-selling book in 2025. But here we are, and you can learn from this Roman emperor who just jotted down a few of his thoughts, and it just happened to get published and stay in publication for, hundreds of years. So this idea that society can grow and build off of the ghosts, quote unquote ghosts of our society, it's kind of a comforting thought, and I apply it to the ghosts that I am living with in my life, and how these people have shaped and encouraged me, and they have changed the way I think about life. They have changed the way I live my life. I try and be a lot more compassionate. I take a lot more photos as a result of having to clean out my storage, and I become ever grateful to spend time with my friends who still are here. And I make sure to let them know that I love them and I've had a great time with them, and I will continue to have a great time with them as long as I'm breathing and they are breathing. Don't stop breathing. That's number one rule. But in all seriousness, the application of the idea of we're living in a world with ghosts doesn't have to be a spooky one. I know it's Halloween, and I know it is freaky to think about our own inevitable demise, but I think it just comes down to appreciating what you have and what you have had. Many of the huge conversations that I had with my grandparents really shaped who I wanted to become as a human being, and I'm eternally grateful that they lived as long as they did, and that I got to become a young adult and have deep conversations with them about life and what I wanted out of life, and asked for their advice. I think if you add up all of my 4 grandparents' lives, it's something like 450 or 460 years of experience and wisdom. So it was such a benefit to have that wisdom and knowledge be able to be transferred through in person. And if you feel as though you've missed out, there are hundreds of thousands of incredible books, stories, and even people living in old folks' homes or relatives that you've never known that have so much knowledge and experience, and they have so much to teach you. And I also think, might be a controversial opinion, But I think even the people your own age and younger have a huge amount to teach you. You know, my little nephew teaches me so much every time I see him. So I would just really appreciate that we're living in a world of ghosts and that we actually get to hear them and remember them and learn from them. So happy Halloween, and don't get spooked out by a good horror movie. Anyways, as always, I will talk to you guys tomorrow.